So yeah, all right, team. So thank you once again for joining us. And today we will try to learn about Terraform workflow. In fact, we have gone through last week, but there was some issue. So I will continue again from understanding about the Terraform workflow. So we have installed last week, right? So we'll try to understand today. So what I'll do is that I will, as I we have already done last time, we have created a folder called Terraform. And for now, I will remove this also providers. Sorry, not this one, this two, right? Because we don't need this one for now, so that we can reinitiate once again. I don't want this also. So I'll just keep main.tf and provider.tf. Rest I can remove it. So that I can explain from basic again. So you see only these two, right? Main.tf and the provider.tf. This provider.tf, it is again is a optional, but yes, it is, you can give it or you can define within your main.tf also. The same block can be used within your main.tf, but just for the simplicity purpose, we are defining separate tf extension, that is the provider.tf. Now, so as I told you, whenever you want to create any resources, first of all, we need to define the resource block. Sorry, not resource block, the provider basically. As you can see, this is a provider version. This is the one. Now, same thing, let me take you to the documentations. If you go to the, there's something called as a registry, right? You simply type as Terraform registry, right? As you type Terraform registry, it will take you to the official documents basically. What happened? Terraform registry. Azure, just type registry, okay? Okay, as you type Terraform registry, first of all, it will take you to your official documentations. Is where we need to select. As I told you, we have multiple providers and we are going to deal with Azure. So I will select the Azure, this thing. So let me select Azure one. So as I select Azure, it will take me to the Azure registry. That is, sorry, Azure provider basically, documentations. So as I mentioned last time, you will see an overview of this Azure and also documentation. Say for example, I want to create any resources in your Azure. Okay, so let's say if I want to create any resources, as I told, you will have to refer this documentation. There are so many things and you will get it. So you can get it if you see here, there is a use providers. You just click over there. If you put a cursor and click over there, just click over use provider, then it will come something like this. So I have already copied this one. This is a 23. So if you remember last week, which we were working on, that is 4.22, right? If you can see, you can also check here, this is 4.22. But now in just maybe 1 week, it got released new version basically. As I told you, very frequently they are updating the new release basically. So we need to be very careful when we are dealing with providers. So no problem. I will keep it as it is, or maybe old version. There is not an issue. For our simplicity purpose, let's not use the existing. As I told you, this is the latest. You can see, right? That means you will get last 8 days ago we were using this one, right? 4.22. So every week, at least a week, they will try to upgrade up something or the other. New features are going to be added. So fine. Now, as I told you, we were using this one 4.22. So let me use the same one. The reason why same one, I want to show you something. That's why I will keep clear as it is new version one, not the latest one. Now, as I told you, we need to define a subscription ID also. This is required for this thing. I have defined it. The main thing is that we want to create the resource group. So to create the resource group, first we need to go to documentations again. As I told you, there is a documentation. Simply type Azure RM always you have to start with. If you want to create any resource in Azure cloud, basically, you have to always start with the provider name. Provider name, in my case, it is a Azure, right? So we have to select the Azure RM. Azure RM is nothing but it is your provider name again. So this is why always you have to specify the provider name in order to get your resource to be available in your, in your documentation. So I will try to find this bit name, then underscore. Then I have to type the type of the resource. In my case, it will be a resource group, right? Because we want to create the resource group. So provider name I have defined using the dash. I use it. Now you type a resource group is your resource type. In my case, let me type resource underscore type. sorry, group, right? As you type here, you can see here and the resource block there is the other, so you can ignore this one. There is the task, this also you can ignore. This is the one, okay. On the resources block there is something Azure around resource block, sorry, resource group. Let me click over there. This will take you to the same documentation which we were checking it. Now here also you can same thing. If you go there also, particular resource group also same thing, you can get a resource provider details. It remains same as it is. You can take it from the registry or you can directly go to the particular resource and get it from there also. Both are same. Okay. Now let's come to the documentation. As I told you, always try to refer a documentation. So what we need to understand is uh, there is an option. Sorry, if you click. Okay. So if I click here, if you let it's taken me back. Sorry. Let's you type Azure RM resource group. There are many ways of defining the resource group, but just for simplicity, we are going to use. So as I told you, this is a resource provider and provider name, and this is a resource type. Now, if you notice on your right side, there is documentation there. You can see there are example users. Example users mean for basically in order to create any resources, there is always as a documents we will be having a sample code for you to reference or refer. For your reference purpose, they'll be having a sample code. So let me click here. So as I told you, we are going to create a resource group. So it is given as a example users. So that means now this will help us to understand whenever we want to create the resource group, what are the parameters or what are the arguments it is required for you to create the resource group. So for those who doesn't know what is resource group, it's nothing but resource group. It is a container where you can place or store all your resources within the resource group. Okay. So say for example, you want to create virtual machines, your storage account or anything. So you first need to have the resource group so that all the resources can be placed within the resource group itself. I hope this is clear. Now, if you see here, there are two things, resource group and this thing. Same way, now if I come to the portal.azure.com also, if you try to see in the portal.azure.com, what exactly we can see is that here also we will get to know what exactly resource or the information is required for you. Now, let me create. I'm not going to create just to. I'm sorry. I'm just going to show you. Okay. Let me try to create once. Now, if you see here, whenever I try to create the resource group, it is asking me what resource group name and the region, right? These are required. Same way, if I refer the documentation also, it is asking me the name of the resource group. I need to mention the locations, right? Name of the name and the location. Same way here also you can say name and the location. The location is nothing but the region, which region. Okay, that means this also will help me. But let's say if you have a resource which is very big configuration, that means you will have so many properties. Then how do I know which all details are required or maybe doesn't require? So let's see that one. So as I told you, this is one way to give as a reference. Now we need to understand there's something called as a argument reference. Now what is argument reference? Arguments reference is something as a properties for your particular resource block. In my case, it is a resource group, right? So to create resource group, what all parameters we can define as simple. Okay, so we have to click the arguments. In arguments, if you just notice, arguments reference, the following arguments are supported. Now here, if you just take a look here, there is a bracket, location is required, and also there is another college name is required. And if you see other managed by tags, all are optional. What it means? That means that whenever you are creating any resource in your cloud that is specifically for the Azure, these are something which are very much mandatory for you to fill. Without having these details or filling these details, that is location and a resource group name, you cannot create a resource group. It is as simple. That means whichever you see the as a require in the bracket, that means this is something must. You have to mention that one. So the rest is optional. You can use or you can ignore. Depends on the your requirement. Okay. In this case, I have done my name also defined, location also defined. I should be good. It should be good, right? Now, fine. Now, let's. I will explain in details later, but for now, understand the this must now. Now, let me open terminal so that I can run my Terraform commands here. As I told you, I have already installed it. Now, if I type ls, I will have two files. One is main.tf, second is provider.tf. So similarly, if I go to the where is that? Here, I do not have any other core or maybe files over here in the same folder, right? Now, because it's a folder name we given, right? So now let me run Terraform init. So as soon as I type, as I mentioned in a last class also, whenever you run basically whenever you write your Terraform for the first time, always you must use the Terraform init. So why Terraform init? As I told you, Terraform init will basically download your plugin. If you see here, initialize backend plugins. Okay, here if you see provider plugins, okay, it will initialize the backends and also the initialize the provider plugins. Now, what is backend? What is provider plugin? We'll try to understand. Backend is nothing but basically it's also basically what you call, there is something called a state file. Right now we don't have any state file created here, but later we can understand. For every single resource whenever you create, right, somebody need to basically Terraform has to track that. Let's say what kind of, in my case I'm going to create the resource group. So in order to track this one, how Terraform will track that, right? So in order to track that, they have to use a backend. Backend has the state file that has your metadata of your resource which was deployed in your cloud or maybe any environment, any cloud provider. Okay. So and plugin provider. Now provider plugin is nothing but it is your Azure, whether it is Azure or AWS. In my case, it is Azure. So if you go here, as I told you, you will have a these two already existing. These were already there before. Now, if you see here, terraform.log.html is got in basically downloaded, as well as .terraform directory got downloaded. I mean, here is installed or downloaded. Now, if you go inside here, as this is a provider plugins. Provider plugin is nothing but it has all the provider related informations. Also, along with that, as I told you, this is this thing under registry. This thing you will have HashiCorp. It's a company. Then, as I told you, this is a Azure, right? So that is why it is a Azure RM. It's nothing but it is a Azure Resource Manager. Now go inside. If you remember this one, if you see here, this is gotten 4 point. What is that version? 4.22. 4.22 because why 4.22? Because we have defined in our provider that is 4.2. But if you check manually or maybe if you check official documentations, what is the latest? It is a 4.23. That means we are not using the latest ones, but then we can restrict in this way also based on your requirement. The reason why we want to use this is because could be any reason. It could be like some applications or maybe certain features may not support in the latest upgraded one. So in that case also we can use the old version according to the one which was working before. I hope this is clear. Now, coming to the here, let me, yeah, under here, as I told you, there is something called as this thing. You get all the this thing. You get some if you see full provider, you got install everything. Now, one more thing. I told you what is the version. It is a 4.23, 22, right? Now, same thing. This provider information also will be recorded somewhere. Let us see that. Let me go back here. Now, if you see here, terraform.log.html, here it will track whatever the basically the provider you have used it and when everything will be tracked here. Let me show you. You can open in Notepad as well. So as I type here, basically if I open this one, it's a Notepad. If you, as I told you, I was not using, if in the documentation it is a 4.23, but here it is a 4.22. The 4.22, as I mentioned, I have defined here 4.22, and same thing the providers also under Terraform folder, right? got installed or downloaded same version, right? Terraform means 4.22, not 4.23. Okay, it is a 4.22 got installed. This is why whenever you run Terraform anytime for whatever the version or Terraform provider you version you have defined it, that version at a particular specific time will be tracked here, so that this will help me as a DevOps engineer or any other team, no matter whoever it is, you will be able to track them. Like, okay, this particular time, this is this provider was used, and that time it was working like that. You'll have certain like informations. This is the reason. Okay. Now I hope this is clear now. Now let me check how can I upgrade this thing. If I try to upgrade, now let me run this out of 23. I'll make it 23. Okay, sorry, my bad. 23, right? Let me type 23. That means I'm latest now. Latest. Let me save this down. Okay, it is now it is saved. Let me run once again Terraform. What happened? Let's see. Can somebody tell me what is the issue? Now it is saying that the backend, the initially provided plugins reusing the previous version of the HashiCorp, that is a provider name, from dependency log file, failed to query available provider packets. Could not retrieve the list of available versions for provider HashiCorp here plan log provider registry.terraform.io HashiCorp. This version they have given does not match configured version constraints. That is, this version, that means this one, must use the Terraform init upgrade to allow selection of the new version. That means this is the thing. If you have defined before, let's say you are using already existing 4.22, right? 4.22 was using right here. So if you're using a 4.22, let me still show you inside. Under RM, now this is a 4.22, right? So this was the same, this particular provider, basically the version was also updated in your what is your log file, right? In your dependency log file. So they will try to compare. They'll try to compare between your this log file along with your providers, what was the use last time. In my case, it is a 4.23. Now, if sorry 22, if you try to use a 4.23, that means they are not able to track because we were using the here we have updated, but in your Terraform actually it is used that to 4.22. So in 22, right? In order to that make work, you have to upgrade your basically providers. How can I do that one? Simply you can use a Terraform init dash you upgrade. Basically you can just type upgrade is nothing but, as I told you, instead of 22 now it will be 23. You should update it. That means you should have a record here also, not just updating here will not work. You need to update in your state file also, in your providers also, because then only they can track that, right? So this is the 22, right? Let me do it this way. Let me do. Now if you see here, it is showing now it is got initialized once again, and initialization of provider plugins, it got successful. Now that means now whatever I have defined in Terraform as well as backends, in the sense your state file or whatever you can call it as the dependency log file, that also will have a latest record one. Let me see that. Let me close this one for now. This also I close. Okay, so if you see here, you can check here, because as I told you, I have old version, this is new version. Now new version will have this same thing what we have it. This is the head. Now if you go to the log file, let me show you this also. Here you can see, right, as I told you, the latest one, it will be updated automatically as you upgrade your Terraform. So I hope this is clear. Fine. Now let's go with the next one.
One doubt. What if we
Yeah.
don't upgrade? Like, can we use the same version for whole project? Like, even if we have the latest version, can we
Yes.
proceed with the same?
Yes. Yes. You can use, but in this case, whatever version you cannot change it here. You have
Okay.
to use as 22
Okay.
like this.
Instead, can we write directly as the latest instead of
No,
version specifying?
no.
Okay.
Latest is normal. It's not good practice. The thing is there. Normally, if you talk about any project, nobody is going to use the latest one. You know why? Latest one why not using? Because we don't know what kind of bugs are there, whether this particular application, I mean the provider now, let's say 4.22 is used. Say for example, when you have a different application, in particular application may not function as expected, right? We don't know what kind of features they have added, we don't know in the backend, right? So this is why, first of all, in order to use the latest version, we need to go with the what is it, not complete a version. Only the minor version we need to upgrade first. Minor version is nothing but this is a main version, this is a minor version. So this can be upgraded, but we should not use the latest because it may affect entire your listing also, affect the infrastructure core, your code. Okay, there are chances some of the applications or maybe some of the resources may not support as expected. This is why we have to understand what is the each features is used for, and we need to basically test it well first. Am I clear? Yeah, are you clear?
Like one doubt, like I have deployed all my infra now. So
Mm-hmm.
I got a request to upgrade the version from
Okay.
22 to 23. Like if I
Okay.
go and update here and like I just use the init space hyphen upgrade, will it affect any of the resources or it will go smoothly without any downtime?
Yes, it will not happen anything, nothing will happen. But if any new, say example, now 22 we were using and you provision infrastructure, okay? Now let's say now you making 23 and you do now what happened? Within the 23 letters, whatever the changes, we don't know what changes happen, right? In this, if there is any issue in the, like maybe in the, this particular version that is a 4.23, if there is any issue, then it may affect your application also or infra also.
Okay, okay, got it.
uh, Depend, that is why it is the best practice to research on that what changes they have made, and also to basically note, you cannot just you have to notice that one whether you have to, it will work fine or not, you have to notice that also. So always you first test in your development environment first. If you want to use direct, it should not be used normally. You first test it in a lower environment, and then if all working fine, then only you move to the productions. Is it clear?
Yeah, thank you. Clear. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's the thing. Now, as I told you, these all providers been downloaded. Now, let's go with the next, that is the validations. Now, in validation, as I told you, it's nothing but whatever you have written the Terraform code or maybe provider, whatever it is, okay, any Terraform code, it has to be basically checked in the sense synthetically whether is there any syntax issue or maybe Terraform having some block issue, anything like that, you will throw an error. So if I type now validate, now definitely I do not have any issue right now, so it will be passed. Now, if I simply don't mention anything, let's say instead of the locations, if I type something like this, then maybe they try to define, or maybe some syntax, you may change some syntax sometime. It may have this thing. Now it is showing this thing, not expected here. So it depends on this situation, you will get an error, fix that first. Or maybe you can, otherwise, if you have just location you have defined, but then you didn't give this curly braces now, again, this time also it will fail again because the syntax is not correct. So it could be many reasons, right? So this is the reason why we need to use the validations or validate, Terraform validate. Now, let's go with the next one, that is the Terraform plan. So, Terraform plan, what I do, it creates an execution plan. Terraform performs a refresh and determines what actions are necessary to achieve the desired state specified in the configuration file. Now, configuration file or manifest file, as I mentioned earlier, both are same. That means if I talk about the configurations file or maybe manifest file, both are talking about Terraform configuration, Terraform core basically. Okay. Now, let me do a Terraform plan. So as I told you, whenever I use a Terraform plan, see, now it's right. Whenever I use a Terraform plan, it will help me to understand based on the existing Terraform configuration what all resources going to be created. So whatever you see the green symbol with your red, sorry, clear option, that means the plus is nothing but it is going to be created. Sometime we will come a kill symbol with the yellow, that means it will be a destroy. Sometimes it will be a red, that means it will be minus. That time it will be coming as a destroy. That we will understand. But for now, just understand the green is nothing but with the plus symbol. That you can see also at last, no, it is a create. That means resource is going to create. What is the resource going to create? Terraform will perform the following action. That means this particular provider, that is Azure provider with particular resource, that is a resource group, will be created with this desired name, like whatever name you given, like name is your MyRC, and then location is to US, everything you mentioned. Now there is something called as the ID. ID we have not specified, but IDs you require. Why? Because ID for each and every single resource, there will be a ID will be used. The ID why it will be used? Say for example, ID is nothing but it is your reference ID in a sense, or you can call it as simple your mobile ID. If somebody had to call to you, they cannot call by name, right? They have to call with a contact number. Same way, in Azure also, there's something called as a resource ID. For every single resource, whenever I want to use it or I want to define, let's say I want to create the storage account, but I want to create use the existing resource group or any resource group, I have to call with the resource group ID. Okay, if you're dealing with a different resource, mean again same thing, particular resource ID you have to call with that ID. Now below you can see here plan, that means want to add means it is going to be created. Zero to change means there's no any changes, and zero to destroy, that means destroy means there is nothing to be deleted. There is also, if you notice here, you didn't use the out then option to save the plan. The Terraform can't guarantee to take exactly this action if you run Terraform apply again now. That means there is something called as the out. Out is nothing but basically for every single changes we can have a, whenever you run a plan we can also save the plan so that exactly same plan can be used. So that suppose example I have modify something, then I have plan like this, I can run out. If you see here, that's out, and I can give any name, maybe whatever name I can give, and let's say for uh, first plan, something like that. That means this particular plan can be, this is like a taking as a snapshot based on your existing code. That means now let's say I have done this thing. Now if I do some changes also, if I do some changes also, but I want to use the particular commit, particular this one means I can simply use this one instead of using the direct Terraform apply. Okay, that means this is just a saving as a one particular place, so that same copy I want to use it when I run Terraform plan. Okay, so this option also is there. Now, okay, so plan is good. Now let me run Terraform apply. As I told you, Terraform, why we use Terraform plan? Terraform plan will help you identify based on the resource that you have defined. They will check whether what kind of resource to be created according to the requirement. I mean, according to the resource that you define. Okay. Also, before that, if you have already created the resources, say for example, you this particular resource group or maybe different resource also you have included, say for example, in this case they will try to basically compare between your existing resource and also the state file configure, meaning your configuration file, basically state file with the configuration file, because as I told you, state file has your informations about your which was already created, right? So that is the thing. Now I don't have anything created, so I can simply run Terraform. Let me run Terraform apply. Double, okay, Terraform apply. Terraform apply is nothing but basically if you're happy with the plan, because if you're happy with the code, whatever the output is given, if you're happy with this kind of configurations, I want to create this resource group, all okay means you can use the Terraform apply. But then if you use this one, this commands, it is asking me, do you want to perform these actions? If yes, this will accept and approve it. Okay, that means If you, this is another way of doing it. Basically, let me skip for now. So if I use Terraform apply, basically, this is one way of deploying the resource, but you have to always manually say yes. When pop-up comes, right, you have to use a yes. But there is another way we can use instead of this one, like double, you can use auto approve. Sorry, auto double dash approve, right? And double PRO, auto approve. If I use auto approve, you don't have to basically need to define anything. Like you don't have to define as yes or no, like that. Automatically Terraform will approve that your changes, whatever you're doing. According to the output, it is going to be deployed directly or created resources. Now you don't have to. Now it is coming. That time there was asking, do you want to continue? Option is coming, right? Now this will not come because I have given the argument call as auto approve. So as you can see here, there is some issue. Now what is the issue with this one? Already exists. What is the already exists? That means the particular resource, whatever name is there, I did not delete that one. It is existing. So okay, no problem. Let me do some other name then. Instead of my RG, I'll give 100, because I don't want to manage the existing one. I want to create different resource group, because same resource group was created, right? Now let me run now. Now uh, new resource group with this name will be created, because as I told you, this was already created. They're asking me whether you want me to manage the existing resource or not. That also I will show you how we can manage the existing resource also in Terraform. But for now, understand that we are going to create a new resource called as my RG10 100. Now, as you can see, as soon as I type here, I did not have to basically enter anything. Automatically, if you just see here, 1 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy, right? Here, automatically, if you see here, it is creating. What is creating? Resource group is creating. Still, it is creating. It took some second, 10 seconds. Then also creation complete after 13 seconds. That means in the particular resource took to create 13 seconds only. Now it is, as you say, apply complete. That means resource one is added, right? One added means one is created, nothing changed and nothing to destroy. Destroy means nothing to delete. Now you go back to your resource group in your Azure portal. You can just type portal.azure.com. Then you type here. As I told you, this was created before, so I didn't notice that one. This is the one we are creating, right? So this is the one now. Now see, this with the same name I got created now. Okay, now this is created. Now what I want, let me do some other changes here. Let me add a tag. How can I add a tag? I can simply type a tag. In my case tag, basically you can also define a tag like this. But if you don't want, if you can also check here, there is a document side argument. You can check it. If you want to understand like a tag, you can see tags, right? You can see a map of tags which should be assigned to the resource group. So let's say I have two different tags. So what I can do is, okay, I can basically right now I don't have anything. I don't want to define anything. The reason why I will define when I do define a variable. Okay, I will show you. For now, just understand this one. Okay, that means now it is created now. Let me destroy in the sense. Now let me delete this resource group. What happens? As I told you, plan time it is got to whatever is there. It is going to give you all the output, like what kind of resource is going to be created. It will give you the complete overview, and apply time based on there the kind of configuration. They will compare also. Then they will basically create the new resources here. Okay, they will create and destroy now. Destroy mean nothing but it is a deleting. Okay, resource. So to destroy, used to destroy what I call Terraform manage infrastructure. This will ask for confirmation before destroying. This is again depends on again how you want that to be. Say for example, that means now, as I told you, this is got created. Let me destroy. Before destroying, let me give you one very important notes. Let me refresh this one. Then maybe. Okay, let me just make a note. Just take a note. Now there is something called as this was there already. First plan is a plan name, right? This also there. there is something called as a state file, terraform.tf state. Terraform.tf state is nothing but, if you see that file type, this is all tf file, but this is called a HCL file because it's a log file. And here is a tf state file. Tf state file, what it means basically, let us see that. If you open this one, this basically in the JSON format, guys. Okay, so here, whatever resource that you have created, those information will be stored here as a metadata. That means if you have the hundreds of resource created using Terraform, all 100 different types of resource metadata will be stored here. Metadata is nothing but those information will be stored here. Say for example, you can say this is a version API, and this is what is a, this is a Terraform CLI versions, right? Then we have this ID output. Output here we need to check under resource. As I told you, this is a Terraform. This is the type of the resource. It is a resource group. And what is the name? They given as a RG. And what is the provider? As I told you, it is a resource Azure provider, right? So they have given this also. What is the instance? Again, the attributes, the detail. Let's say what is the subscriptions ID, full URL basically, and also what is the location for the resource group, whether it is managed, and what's your tag. This tag is you can ignore because this is coming from the policy. I have defined it in the policy. Okay, and also they can see sensitive, private, everything. So you can see this one. That means you will have the existing this particular my RG100 information basically details, because as I told you, this we have created, right? Now this detail. Now whenever I try to delete the this particular existing resource group or any resource, what happens automatically, Terraform is going to take the backup of what? They're going to take the backup of this one state file. If you see the what is the size, KB size, now it is size, it is a 1 KB. Okay, 1 kilobyte. So now that means 1 KB right now. The size is 1 KB. So as I told you, this many informations we are having. Now, as soon as I delete this resource group, what happens? Automatically, the same state file with the same name at last dot backup extension will be taken backup for this one. That means this particular file, that is the state file, will be taken as a backup, and they will update this existing state file as null. Null means according to the infrastructure that you manage it. So let me show you in the this thing. Let me delete it so that I can show you better. Now let me just run. I mean, just run this thing auto. You can simply type destroy also, or you can use auto approve if you want, but I prefer to use it. You can ignore if you don't want. So okay, destroy. That means now as soon as I type, can you notice here? As soon as I type here is coming. Same way, even if you go here, see here, can you notice automatically? See, this is 1 KB. This is the existing state file, and this is a new one. So whatever you have an existing state file will be taken as a complete backup according to that. I mean, according to the existing state file, and stored yours with the extension of dot backup extension. Now, then once it is taken backup fully, then it is going to update as null resource. Null means nothing, no information here. But this will be taken the original backup, complete backup of your this one state file. Now, let me see this also. Now, if you see here, as I told you, this is going to be destroyed. It is see here. It is at want to destroy. So they're trying to destroy, still destroying. Then destruction complete. That means after 22 seconds, the particular resource group is destroyed. You can see here one destroy. Now one destroy means now go back. If you go, just let me just refresh this one. Let me refresh it. It's bang, it's gone, because as I told you, we have destroyed it. So that means we have deleted, no more use in your cloud or Azure. Now behind the scenes, what happens whenever resource fully deleted? If you come here, let me just refresh this also. You can see this is a 1 KB. This is 1 KB. Time was same. Let me see it. As I told you, this is was the actual state file, right? This is actually taken as a backup. But let me see here what information we can see here. Now see, before there was so many other information, right? in your state file. Right now you do not have any information, you do not have any resource information, because this particular resource was deleted, but it is deleted, updated, then they have updated in a state file. But same resource what were before they were having, right? I mean, there was a resource group was there, no, in the particular distance state file. Now same thing with the dot backup extension, you will have a, you can see here backup file. So if you click here, taking time maybe. Okay, let me, why is taking time? You can see here, okay, same information what before it was in state file, right? They have taken the same copy of the state file backup and store in your state file dot backup extension, but here is not there. Okay, this is how it works in the backends. Okay, till now it's clear, I think, team. Now let's go with the next one, next topic. Now,
One second, Hriyen.
yeah,
Like now you created one resource and you have deleted.
yeah,
So it was taken backup. Like new file is created with the name dot backup.
yeah,
So
yeah,
now
correct.
if you again created few more resources and if you delete, it gonna update in the same dot backup file or it will create new
Okay,
for
if you
every
want to,
time.
if you want to create new state file, if you want to
No.
create new,
Like
okay,
now, for suppose you create another two resources. Suppose you
okay,
created a virtual machine
okay,
and after one day you have deleted it
mm-hmm,
using Terraform destroy.
mm-hmm.
So at the time there is below file, right?
This one,
State dot backup. Okay.
yes,
So now as VM is deleted, it will update in the same file.
yes, it is, it
Oh,
is.
okay.
It will
Okay.
delete.
Thank
So
you.
basically anything you delete, they will be having a backup. That will be based on your name. And this is the name terraform.tf state. This is a default name. Okay. We should not change this name. This name should not be changed. This should be keep it as it is. Even this also. This is a, according to the HashiCorp, we have to keep it. This is the standard they are following it. We should not rename it and we should not do any changes manually here, because as I told you, this is a heart of your this thing like a metadata, right? That means you cannot do any manual changes here. Everything has to be done and managed by a Terraform itself. Okay, so you once you delete, as I told, it will be updated all issues to you in backup. Clear?
Yes, clear.
Okay, great. Now let us understand some this thing Terraform language basics. This is very important. So as I told you, I have already discussed last time also. There is anything that you could see at last dot tf file extensions or maybe dot something like this, right? Dot .tf, dot .json, this thing. But as I told you, this is not being used much. Mostly, you go any company, we normally use this dot .tf file extension only. So anything you see file with dot .tf extensions or maybe dot .tf, dot .jsons, that means those all call as your what you call Terraform manifest file basically, or Terraform configurations. Okay, so let's go to the next. This is very important, team. We try to understand HashiCorp language basic like configuration syntax. This is very simple. HashiCorp, as I told you, this is a provider names, and there we come and that's the Terraform again. And here in Terraform we have something called as blocks, and we have arguments, we have identifiers, and we have comments. Now we all know, many of us already aware what is comments means, what is identifier, what is arguments, what is blocks. You may be knowing or may not be knowing, but anyway we will go with the very basic. Say you can see here, right? What you see here, it is a configuration syntax. Now say we are going to create the resource now, resource group. We were creating resource group, right? The first one, resource, whatever you see resource, this is nothing but this is only this particular resource. This is called as a resource type. Sorry, resource block type. Only this one called as a block type. And Now, if you see here, till the provider, till the your local name, this is all together called as a block level. Block level means block type and block level. That means now this is one block type. Only resource means it's only one block type. But now if you tell this one till here, this is called as block level. Okay. Now next, then we have something called as a resource group. What have we have a name and this thing. This is a name. In my case, my RG1 something my RG1, and location given as a similarly like this, right? So argument is nothing but your key and value. That means your name is equal to what is the name of the resource group. Similarly, location is equal to whatever the name of the location. That means combining two different values called as the arguments. Is it clear? Combining two different values called as the arguments. Now we have understood. What about individual? What should I call this individually? That means now, as I told you, argument means it is a key and value pair. This is a key and value, right? Key value pair. Now together call as a name and the name of the resource group together call as a argument. Similarly for the locations. Now if I talk only about what is it called here, top level and block inside block. Top level mean what is top level? Top level means your basic all everything. Inside block means, think for example, you have inside the resource block, you can add some of the tags, right? Tag is part of your resource, right? So we can call as a inside blocks. Top level mean on the high level, this one. Now you can see example. Top level blocks is nothing but resource. Resource means, question is when should I use this block? This resource block will be used specifically whenever you are going to create any resource. Say for example, we are going to create the resource group. In this case, we are going to use the resource block, right? Resource type. The resource in the sense entire this one called as a top level block basically, or provider time. Okay, there is other also, as we learn, we will see that also. Then as I told you, block inside block basically like a provisioners, resource specific block like a tag. That means within the resource, if you want to do some other activity, you want to configure or do something, in this case, that is within the resource, you can use a block inside block. Then we have it here. You can also see here, based on the resource block, okay, based on the resource block type, block level will be 1 or 2. Based on the resource type, depends on the resource. For example, this is a resource. Anything you see whenever you see the resource as a block type, right? Resource as a block type, I mean this one, right? Always will be having a two things. How to? If you see only one, is still here one, again here one. That means here till here there's a one block level. This is a second block level, because if you see here, notice this is a separated, right? This is a, we are using this thing. Now similarly, if you're using a variable only, whenever I use a variable, what is variable? It's nothing but, let's say it is again like just like a container where you can store some value and call with the name of the this thing. Okay. Say for example, I want to call to a certain person. I will define as a person name, but within that I will define some contact number. So whenever I want to call with the name, the contact number will be fetched. Similar way we can use here also. Now that is the thing. Now still, if you don't understand, let me give another in the simplest way. As I told you, this whatever you see on your left side means name, locations, right? Under resource type, okay, under block type, I mean under block type, we have something called as a name, location. Similarly, we have something called as a resource group name, then locations, everything, right? So whatever you see on your left side, this can be called as a argument name or identifier. Okay, whatever you see this one, you can call as a identifier or argument name. Similar way, not left side, sorry, right side, whatever you see here, like a location name and the location region name, everything, there you can mention as a argument value or expressions. That means on the left side, we can call as identifier, and on the left side, we can call as a expressions. So the right side, we can call as a expressions, or we can also call as a argument key value pair, like key name and key, I mean value, name and value. Okay, together we can call as argument. Now, uh, also single line comments with this hash or this thing. Now, say for example, why I want this one. Question is, I want to comment something. It could be many reasons. Say for example, I have only small comment now. I want to type something. For example, description. I want to give overview like this. If you type like this is for a Terraform. Yes, sir. This is a test. Example like this. What if you see here? What it says now? Unexpected block, because Terraform there is no any specific format or the standard that we Terraform can understand. So Terraform is telling it is not expected here. So say for example, this is your description. What you can give simply you can use the like this. You can give a space or bit of space. You just use the hash. But what if you have multiple line of the code? Now say for example, I want to basically have I want to basically comment everything. This means I want to comment it, right? I want to comment everything. That means I don't want everything. So let me just make this little down then. Say if I want to use group, I don't want this one. I can simply what I can use. If you check here, you can use a slash asterisk again slash, then I can say asterisk then slash. Okay. Then what I can do simply I can use slash this asterisk again. I want to stop here. I mean I can simply I can use a asterisk. That means now Terraform will think that, okay, this is not a Terraform code, this is a Terraform commands like that. This is one way of doing it. But one thing if you notice, this is possible. But if you have a 1,000 lines of code, what you can do is this then. If you have 1,000 lines of code, it is not possible for you to understand every single, or maybe you have to go through all code, drag and do everything and modify. No, this is not good. So what is another way? Another way to comment is that let me remove this one. Simplest way, let's say this also I will keep it like this for now. Let's say till here 12, that means 5 to 12 I want to comment it without using anything I should not be going, I can type manually like this. What I want very fast way. How I can do, just select everything till whichever you want, you can just select it. 1 minute. Okay, so that's the thing. Now what we can do is here, I can simply use this way. 1 minute. Like the question mark, control question mark I can do. Then this also will come. So there are different way of doing it actually. Okay. So this you understood how to comment it and everything. Now we'll go to the next. Then you just need to use the control, then plus that button. Okay. Question mark. Now next, let's go with the this thing. Okay, we have understood this thing. We have something called as Terraform top level block. So if you just see this one, Terraform language uses a limiter, a number of top block level types, which are blocks that can be appear outside of any other block in Terraform configuration file. And most Terraform's features are implemented as a top level blocks. Now, if you just notice here, fundamental blocks and variable blocks calling on the referencing blocks we have it here, right? So that we need to understand basically. So what we can do is, as I told you, first we'll understand the fundamental blocks. whenever I work with the Terraform, I need to basically understand within the fundamental what all includes. Say for example, we have that something called as a Terraform block, then we have a provider blocks, and also we can see as resource block. These three are very important if you want to work with any of the Terraform basically tasks related. Then we have this is a variable related things. Variable mean, as I told you, this is very simple, right? So you want to say for example, you want to define some name and call with the particular name instead of the while calling the value basically. So that's what we can use. Like we have something called as a input variables block and output values block, and also we have local values block. This all part of your variable blocks we have it. Then similarly we have a data block, or you can call it a data source block and modules. Now question is, why do I need to use this data source block, right? Data source block basically, as I told you, this is part of your resources. Now say for example, you have some resource which are created. Say for example, this particular resource group, say for example, I am using this resource group, right? This resource group called as my RG. This is created where in Azure. Say for example, this can be created manually or using the Terraform, doesn't matter. But what is my things are you need to understand is that, say for example, this resource group is created by somebody. Now same resource group, I want to use it as part of my Terraform core. That means I will not be creating new Terraform in Terraform. I don't have to create new resource group. All I want is that I want to use the existing resource group. Okay, I just simply want to use the existing resource group. So as I told you, you have to define the resource group to be created here like this, right? This will create. But what if I don't want to create the resource group itself? I want to use the existing when I create other resources. Say for example, I want to create the storage account, and that time I need a resource group also. So how can I basically use the resource group before creating using Terraform? So in this case, that is when we can use the this thing. This is just one example I'm giving. There could be any resource. That means if you want to fetch the information that is already existing in your cloud, that particular resource, if you want to use, that time we can use the resource data source block. Modules, we all know, right? Modules, why we have to work to basically, if you have a multiple modules, instead of writing your code multiple times, same modules can be used in like whenever you want for specific tasks. Say for example, I want to work with the storage account. I don't want to create again and again. Only the some changes I will do. I will call with the module name, so that same storage account can be used. Okay, when we will learn that slowly, don't worry. As we this thing, then as I told you, let's first start with the fundamentals. Resource like blocks we have, that is a Terraform, provider, and resource. Now, first thing, as I told you, this is a resource Terraform block, and we have a provider block, and we have resource block. Now under here Terraform block, we have something called a special block used to configure some behavior, and we have a specifying a required Terraform CLI version, specifying provider require and versions, and configuring Terraform backend state file. Backend state file means nothing but if you remember, whenever we create the resource group, that time there is a state file is getting created. If you notice, this particular resource, basically the state file was stored in your local system, right? Usually this is not a good practice. Maybe you ideally you will be using it. So you will be storing this particular state file somewhere in your centralized location. The reason being it is a security breach, security reason, not just security also, it is also to basically keep your code somewhere in a centralized location so that it can be used by multiple person or team members. Say for example, if I'm working with this Terraform code now, the state file stores only in my local system. Other person, they cannot do anything without having a Terraform state file. This is the reason why the state file should be secure. You have to place in this nice this thing like somewhere in your storage account, or maybe if it is an AWS case, you may use a um, different kind of S3 buckets, right? So we need to basically understand depends on the business requirement, or maybe if you use a big bucket also we can use it, but we are having a already supported resource, that is storage account. So you can store this state file in a storage account itself, so that everybody will have access to the storage, this Terraform code. Okay, next. Okay, next is resource block. I mean provider block. Provider block, as I told you, why it is important. Without having a provider block, it will not help you. Basically, you cannot create any resource. This is the reason why we have defined here provider details as well, right? So without having these provider blocks, it will not be able to create any resources. So you need a provider, because what it contains providers. What is the major functionalities of provider first of all? When I say Terraform provider, in the sense, say example, provider, we have something called as Azure CLI, right? Sorry, yeah, Azure CLI we have it. Azure CLI and the Azure service we have, right? This is a just example. I want to create the resource group now. Now the provider will has to communicate. The provider has to communicate to who? With particular resource provider. In my case, it is a Azure, right? Azure provider. That means, so with the help of what? API. Okay. So with the help of API, they will try to basically they will have to communicate so that they can deploy or create resources based on the core you define it. Okay, then next we have uh, yeah, as I told you, this is mentioned here also. Terraform relies on the provider to interact with the remote system. As I told you, remote could be your Azure or AWS or GCP or whatever it is. Okay. Then declares provider for Terraform to install providers and use them. That we have already done it. And provider configuration belong to a root module. Providers always we need to define into which module, root module. Don't worry, what is root module? There is something called as a child module also. But what is root module and child module, that we will learn later. And next we have resource block. This resource block describes one or more infrastructure objects. And we have something called as the resource syntax, how to declare resource here, and also resource behavior, how Terraform handles resource declarations, and also something called as the provisioners. We can configure resource post creation actions. Now, let me come here. Syntax means, as I told you, this is the syntax, right? When we run the Terraform validations, that time we could see, right, how the syntax are working, everything. That is the thing. Now, second thing is your behavior. How Terraform behavior? Terraform behavior basically, we need to understand this way. Now, if you remember, now this, say for example, this particular resource, where is that? Here. Let me. This is there. This is let me create this one. Okay. Same resource group. Let me create now. I'll directly apply maybe. Let's see if I have. Okay, so basically, let me show you. So syntax behavior in a sense, basically, whenever you're working with a Terraform, Terraform has some behavior by default. Okay, let me say as yes, because I want to accept it. Now let it get created first. Once it is successfully created, what happens? Then we can understand it. I think it's taking some time. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll explain it. So as I told you, Terraform has their own behavior. So whenever you're working with a Terraform, there is a default behavior of Terraform, or how you can handle the default behavior according to your expectation or your requirement. Okay. So as I told you, it is created now. Let us see here. Now, if I see here, definitely it will be created now. You can see here, right? Now, what is the name of this resource group? The name of the resource group, it is a my RG100. Now, let me instead of 100, let me give as the 200. 200. What happens if you try to do, because as I told you, this information, everything is stored in your state file, right? It should be stored in a state file. Now, if you see 100, we can, if you want, you can check it. We will go fast little. I will just refresh the page. 100. If you see here 100, this is there. That means, as I told you, every single time you write, the state file will be updated. Now it is updated now. Now let me instead of the 100, now let me give it 200 now. The reason what exactly I'm trying to say is that this could be a requirement, like say for example, this is your resource group. The resource group was created as my RG 100, but for some reason within the resource group we have other resource also as part of the resource group, or maybe not just resource group, could be any resource, right? So say for example this is created as 100. Now for some reason I don't want this name to be as 100. I want to modify the name, right? If you want to modify the name, instead of 100 I want to make a 200. That means by default the Terraform will destroy the existing. Let me show you. The Terraform will destroy first. Let me just destroy commands. Yeah, if I do this thing, Terraform will not, they will take backup, that will be same concept, but then Terraform first will destroy the existing. I think now, see, now it is, if you see here, you can check, it will check the state file also. Refreshing states, there is nothing there. They will try to check the state file and also compare with your existing your configuration. As I told you, in the state file it is 100, but I have updated here as 200. That means state file with your Terraform core is not matching, right? So what happens now? Then this is where they will compare it and they will tell me, as I told you, whenever you see the with the minus icon destroy, you can see like this. So you can see here. Now they are saying that the Terraform will do performing, they will perform this one. That means will be destroyed. That means this particular will be destroyed. Which one is going to destroy? This particular resource is going to be destroyed. Okay, this is destroyed now. Now if I try to do, so this is one way of destroying. Now let me once again run Terraform apply. Now as I told you, state file everything is there. Now if I try to apply once again, it is going to create which name now? It is going to create with new name now, right? It is going to create with new name, whatever name you want. But let's say you have already running existing. Let's say this 200 is already running. I'll make it as 500, this one instead of this one. Because the first one we understood, here means let it be running. 200 is already in state file. Let us check the state file also. Let me refresh it. As I told you, this is got updated as 200 resource group name. Now, okay, that means right now this particular resource group also updated, right? 200 right now. Let me just 200 is created. Now let's example, this is working fine, everything's good, but for some reason this naming, I don't want to give this 200 name. What I want is that I want to rename this name. So what happens, default version, simply before it was 200, now I make 500. That means instead of 200 name, I want to give my RG 500 should be my actual resource group name. So now it is already created, right? It is existing. Now if I save this one, that means now they will try to apply. I did not destroy. Remember here, I did not destroy because I want to show you what happens. Okay, I did not destroy. If I destroy, again state file will be updated, but this time I have not destroyed it. Directly on top of your existing resource, I'm going to apply it. That means instead of because as I told you, I don't want to destroy. I just want to rename it the name, same name, because this is why I have updated here, right? So I have renamed it now. Now as soon as I rename it, what happens? If you just notice here, yeah, it is saying that must be in replace. Replace is nothing but as name suggests. You can check here. This symbol, no ID, everything. You can see here. This was the old name, right? This is your new name. That means before existing in Terraform state file also, this was the name available as well as in this thing. Now when I updated here and run Terraform apply, That time instead of this name, they change to this particular my RG 500 now. This is a force replacement. Why force replacement? Because this is going to be replaced with a desired name instead of the 200. Now it is created as a 500. So, and that's the first thing. Second thing, what you need to notice is that if you just take a look here, what they'll do whenever I want to modify something, automatically Terraform will first they will destroy the existing resource. If you see here 200, right? First they are going to destroy the existing resource, that is 200, my RG 200, and they will keep destroying. Once it is destroyed successful, then they will update state file. Once full is destroyed, then only they are creating a new resource. I mean storage account still creating. Now create a complete with a desired name. That means what we understood is by default, this is the Terraform default behavior. They will first try to basically destroy it. If you have already created with the same name, or maybe this thing, they will try to destroy first, then they will recreate with a new name. This is the behavior of Terraform. This is just an example. This could be any type of resource. Say, for example, virtual machines or database or Mongo, whatever it is. This is the default behavior. But if you can think of little bit critical way, like I don't this particular resource group is okay. This is a name right now, right? So if I check here, this is the before. If I refresh, it will be 500 now. Okay, now 500. Say example, this particular 500 resource group, it's good. Everything is good. But now again similar requirement. This is one approach. But what I want now is I don't want this behavior. I'm saying that I don't want to delete the resource unless new resource get created. That means before by default, as I told you, it will going to destroy your existing resource, then clear with the desired name, right? This is the default behavior in your Terraform. Now, if you want to change this behavior according to my expectations, then what I can do is that as I told you here, it is first destroying, but this time I want, let's say I have to give us this, let's say 700. Okay, 700. Okay, this time I'll just give some number, random number. I'll just give otherwise. Let's say, as example, 777. This resource group now I want. But what is the existing name? Existing name was 500. Now, but this time I want to create a resource. But I want to change the behavior now, default behavior. What I want now, instead of creating, instead of destroying the resource first, I want to tell to Terraform that, boss, first of all, you create a new resource with this desired name. Once it is successfully created, then only you can destroy the old name, that is your Terraform 500 and my RG 500, right? That means right now this is the name, right? So now I want to tell to Terraform there, first create boss this name. Before destroying, you have to create. Once it is successfully created with this name, then only please destroy the old name. The question is, why do we want that? Say, for example, you have a critical server or a critical database or anything. You cannot simply delete the server and keep blindly write it, no? So you have to have your infrastructure ready before basically doing anything, right? So in this situation, we can use it. So instead of basically waiting for the resource to be available and all, you first create a new resource with your desired name, then you delete the existing resource. This is the best practice of doing using Terraform. So question is, can we do that? Yes, we can do it. So let's see that.
One
There's
thing,
something
Hriyen.
called, yeah, please.
One thing. So under resource group, suppose 500, we have multiple resources like the servers, storage, something kind of okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So multiple resources we have.
mm-hmm.
So when we create a resource group with 777, will all that resource bin by default will be seen in the this
Yes,
resource group?
yes, yes.
Okay, and
That
it
is
is up and running, and that will be
yes,
deleted.
yes, yes.
Okay,
Only
it will
the
not.
it will
Mhm.
not affect within the resource group whatever resource you have. That is not going to affect anything, because as I told you, I'm telling that please before creating the resource, before deleting the resource group with the 500, you first create a new name with a desired name and make that available. Then only you can delete the old one. So this is not going to affect your existing infrastructure or anything.
Okay,
Get
okay.
it? Now,
Yeah.
now there is an argument. What is the argument? If you just type life cycle. There's a meta argument life cycle. Meta argument is nothing but it is a to change the behavior of the Terraform. I can simply use the control space. I can use it. There is an option called. There's some of them like create before destroy, ignore changes, post conditions, precondition, prevent destroy. There's so many others. But we are interested in create before destroy. That means this is the by default it is a false. This is why the Terraform always before creating the resource, if you update, the new resource going to be existing resource going to be destroyed first, then new resource going to be created. But in this case, instead of false, I'll make it as true, because that time I'm saying that now this time that okay boss, before creating before destroying my existing resource group, make sure you first create the new resource group with this desired name. Once it is good, then only delete the existing, that is a 500 as a 500, this one, delete it like that. Now let me save this one. Now as I told you, you can just notice first it is destroying, right? But this time if I run, it's not destroy, it will first create it. Team, any question till now? Almost we're good. Now see, now if you see here, now obviously these all changes will happen. Now let's wait. Okay, will come now. See what can you see here? This time it is not destroying your resource group. It is creating first, right? Here it is creating, still creating. Now if you go to the resource group also, this is 500, right? You may see 700 also. Some it may take some time in what happened. See here. Now you see, right? 500 is the old one. This is your new one. Same thing I have it, right? Same is now as a 777 is got created. Okay, it is got created. Now you see. First they have created, still created. It is successfully created with this name. That is as a 500 as a my RG 777. So got created. Once it is successfully created, this is when we can also see here, right? 700 got created. Now you can see the old one also. Now if you then later only they are destroying the old one with this name 500. That is why showing one destroy. Now if you same thing refresh the page, also there is some issue like portal maybe. Yeah, now the old is gone, right? Only the new name is whatever name is the updated this one. Okay, this is the benefit of using and understanding the this thing, kind of this behavior. Now provisions also very similar way. Provisioners why we use, say for example, you have created one virtual machines in simplest example. Say for example the virtual machines, you need to install some of the extensions or some of the tools or some of the what do you call script, PowerShell script or something you want to run after creation of the virtual machines, right? That means within the virtual machines. In this case, we can configure the provisioners. Okay, these are just some of the things we need to understand.